Hello everyone, I'm Kibitz and welcome back to Satisfactory, where today we're going to make our floating box base a lot more solid by building the external structure, which will merge all of our floating rooms and platforms into one coherent building. And after the last video of making a bunch of little details, today will be the opposite, where we focus on the big vision and superstructure. But first, I got something cool to show you that'll help us later. It's a way to paint concrete in a way more solid color. Because if you try and paint it by just using the normal color gun, it's something like this. But with this trick, you can do some crazy things. And how do you do this? Well, you go and make your own color swatch, right? Then you can move the sliders around to pick a color. But these sliders are only suggestions, because you can actually input your own numbers. So if you input like 100 or even 1,000, you get these super intense colors. But it's kind of a bug, and you can only get red, green, blue, black, and white. But it opens up a ton of possibilities. And moving into creative here, I just want to show you one thing you can do with the Mark 6 belts and this color gun thing. Because getting these colors, you're technically just making them super ultra bright. And since the Mark 6 belt is made out of light, flash warning. Painting it with the bugged color makes it the brightest thing in the whole game. So if you're ever looking to make an airport or like a landing strip or something, well, there's your markers. And speaking of aviation, I just want to quickly shout out today's sponsor, War Thunder. War Thunder is a free-to-play, large-scale action game where you can engage in all theaters of war. You like that little painting flashbang? Well, War Thunder can show you a much bigger one. The game's available on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Mac, and captures the full scale of war by letting you use tanks, planes, and ships from the mid-20th century all the way to present day. Vehicles can be fully customized, upgraded, and improved. Now, the recent Dance of Dragons update has added a whole lot more. A whole line of French combat boats, 2 top-tier Chinese fighter jets, the J-10A and the JF-17, the American F-111 tactical bomber, and what's that? The American A-10 Thunderbolt II. All those, along with dozens of community-based improvements, and a new modification for the BMP Puma, which lets you use the British missile system Stormer Air Defense. All new players, along with those who haven't played in 6 months, get some awesome sign-up bonuses. A week-long rental for the P-40E-1 aircraft and the M4 tank, along with 3 unique skins for them. A special decorator, Eagle of Valor. 1,000 silver lions, 3 premium vehicles for free, a week of premium account, and even more gifts. But hurry, because the American vehicle bonus season ends soon. So again, click the link in the description to download and play War Thunder today. Now then, back to our base project, where we have quite the tall order, but how do we even begin? Well, thankfully we have some stuff done, and we have a lot of ideas. We have the trucks going in and out of there, so we know that we have to leave a cool entrance on that end. In the front of the building, we have our main storage room and everything right there. So there's kind of like a focal center point that we need to keep in mind. And we know that we're gonna be building a lot inside of this place. Not only just our storage room items, but also on the other side, I want to build a huge rubber and plastic factory and actually do a ton of electronics at this location. So lots to keep in mind. We'll have to work it all into the design. And for it, I'm gonna combine all of the lessons from all of my previous bases all into this one project. For example, my very first base I made in this game was the Big Red, where I just stacked boxes on boxes on boxes haphazardly until I produced everything that was in the game until that point. And the big thing I want to take away from this base is a huge open interior, and it really showed the scale of what was going on. But the exterior was kind of boring and wacky. Then in my next playthrough, I built this monstrosity, which very much so focused on one central design. Except the one design wasn't super flexible. As you can kind of see in the bottom left corner there, I ended up having to make these giant towers to bring items up and down and all around when I was building inside. So then in my latest playthrough, I just said, forget about it. Let's have multiple towers all connected together with item bridges with a front face that wouldn't get interrupted. And so for the current playthrough, I'm gonna take the idea of having a central face for the base, then the modularity of my first build, along with the empty interior concept, but I'll merge that with the belt bridges going all over the place from my last world. And finally, we're gonna take the giant proportions of this monstrosity, because I actually want to build some main factories in this new structure. And to bring it all together, I looked online for some inspiration and found this image, where it kind of looks like a bunch of independent towers, kind of smooshed together and stacked on top of each other to make one giant structure. But for now, we only have this to go off of. But for my own sanity, we're gonna break up the build into two big parts. We're gonna have an upper area, where we're gonna kind of combine a bunch of random towers together. And then we're gonna have a lower area where we have more so of a foundational look. That's a little bit more independent from the rest of the build. Kind of like this example image, where you have this big structure that all the towers are sitting on. Then when we get closer to the ground, there's something in that image that I had never really seen before and looked really cool. Wherein there's a ramp that led up to the wall here, but then it added in this shadow right at the bottom. That's like a really interesting shadow that I really like. Oh, but hold up, I forgot about something important. Like, how the heck are we gonna get items to this location? Now, we could just use more trucks, and you know, maybe we will. But for the most part, we're gonna be using trains, because they go choo. And thank you, Dimensional Storage, for making this so easy just to grab items for wherever. And then it's loaded and launch. We can go choo.
Milestone reached. Trains are excellent for efficiently moving vast quantities of parts. Train logistics can be made more precise and complex with tools found in the railway signaling milestone. I listen to all my pioneers, often when they're not even aware of it, so due to popular demand I have added a motivational message. Choo-choo mother.
Ida is unhinged. I love it. Oh man. With the trains, we gotta figure out where we want to have some of them. I've already kind of planned out where one station's gonna be, where we're gonna have the train line go right down this path, and it's gonna gather up whatever the heck we end up doing over in the green fields there. We also need a train that goes around the world. Because in each of my playthroughs, I like to have like a world track, not only to bring around the power, but also move different late game products to and fro. So I want a train that goes over here, over to this biome, scoots down this way, over to the desert, and then back. And typically for that train, I like to build it very close to the ground. So we're gonna have that way down here, go through the cave over there to gather up some uranium at some point, and then scoot out this way through the foundation that we're kind of building. The good and bad of having all the options in the world is you can do anything you want. So maybe the train can actually go here, and it could be on this floor here now. Just go down a ramp. Oh, that's a cool idea. But then we'd have to have a mirrored track, because it's always nice to have two tracks in parallel, like one inbound and one outbound kind of lane. That brings us to the ground. We'll have all the space in the world to do whatever the heck we want. And in fact, while we're on the ground, do you know how I mentioned I might want some trucks? Why don't we use the ground for trucks? Sure, anything for some more movement. So when we have this giant whatever foundation here, we can also have a road up front. And we can have trucks entering the base. Oh, bud, this is a very good idea. Oh, but it conflicts with my other very good idea with the trains. How do we go chew and beep? Mr. Bean, we have a conundrum. You know what the real problem was? I was letting the scope of things get out of control. I can't plan for everything all at once. We gotta kind of go step by step. So first, finished off the little foundation there. And then I wanted to try and figure out what to do with the face of the base, like the centerpiece, the thing that connects everything together. And we're gonna go for a very simple, like 3-pillar design. Where we have the stairs that go up there. I don't know what we'll do in between these 2 pillars, but the center one lines up with our storage room way up there, so that will be the centerpiece. And now we kind of have a better idea of what to do or what we can do. We have some limitations. to help us work things out. Like for example, the road. We'll have a better idea of how to implement it now that we have the rest of this design in here. And also, it gave me a little bit of time to think, and I realized that the train we can kind of do anything with. We want to figure out what to do with the trucks first, before we let all of that get out of control. We'll bring the road to here, similar to how we had it before. Then they'll enter the base and into a truck station drop-off loop. And what I'm thinking is, we bring the same ramp idea we had before, way back here, so that the train tracks can go over the truck stations. Then we're good to go. Okay, well, fun fact, things were not that simple. Things got very finicky, and the floor is now down here. Why? Well, with the trains, I wanted them to go over this pit in the middle, right? But also, I was like, look at all the space we have. This could be a perfect turnaround point. So now the trains can come down this way. They can either turn to continue in their initial directions, or using some signals that I'll put down in a moment, they'll be able to go down an alternate path and turn around if they need to. And it's always good to have a few turnaround spots in the world. It'll add some extra movement for when we're working from above. We can look down and see some trains doing some weird stuff. But now we also have the option to have the trains veer off and maybe go to like an extra station or something like that. I don't know. That is way too far in advance. The main thing is we just need the tracks in place. And with that, we're able to lock in our truck design. And also after the 5 hours of fiddling around with the trucks and trains in these initial designs, I'm kind of happy with the direction, which is the main thing today. Because when we have a theme to work with, we can detail it infinitely with pipes and belts and whatever else. Now then, hard part's done. We can start building off of our design now and get the rest of the tower constructed. And figure out how to add depth as well, or at least make the illusion of having depths and shadows. And this is where that painting trick from the beginning comes in. We can paint the crevices super dark to make it look like there's more depth than there really is. And we'll keep that in mind as we continue building, but after cleaning up the look and filling out the front, I realized that we should put a pin in the shading and first figure out how to pull off the stacked tower look. I figured out a really good solution. We're going to use foundation frames, but we're gonna inset them quite a bit and only have them go up a couple tiles here. And we can make it look like they're holding up the next tower. Let's see how that actually looks. It's not bad. I think the concept can work out. Everything always needs a lot of fine tuning, but it breaks up the main tower here, right? And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. And there's an added bonus where we can change the shape of the top tower as well. Okay, what I meant was we can actually shrink the tower down and we can make a smaller tower on the bigger tower. And that's how we can stack things up. Or we can stack a bigger tower on the smaller tower and widen out the base and make it even more square. I don't know, lots of options, and I messed around some more, and yeah, it was a good plan. I kind of merged the indent there into this new tower area, and I tried making the shading more of a feature piece, and it's turned out really well. But oh gosh, though, I may have made a controversial decision. So you know how we have the 3 pillars in the middle of the base, and there's the gap in between those pillars? Well, what if we made it gold in between there? What do you think? Is that too much? Is it too little? Is it just right? Another contender is making everything chrome though, but then I was like, I don't know if chrome's enough. Well, it's not bad, right? Like all of the finishes look so good. What about copper though? Copper is always so nice, but I don't know if this is the place for it. You have a giant gray structure with some hints of black, and then there's gonna be red belts everywhere. No, the copper, it's too much. Not like the gold isn't though, right? But then the chrome isn't enough. What about carbon steel? Eh? At that point, our whole base is practically just grayscale. But you know, that's half of building, is trying things out and then seeing how you think about it from a distance. And you know, that is definitely not as bad as I thought. Do we go grayscale? More gray for this giant concrete building? Or gold? I feel like we can't do the, no, we can't do the gray. I think I'm gonna try the gold. We're gonna stick with that. And chrome's gonna be out of the question because at the end of the day, we're gonna be building a huge oil and plastic setup. So we're gonna have pipes everywhere. We can make all of the pipe work on the outside of the base, and then we can paint it all chrome. That'll make it a really cool accent. I guess for now, gold it is, unless you guys have a better suggestion in the comments below. So moving on from the front, let's go over to the side next. It should be pretty straightforward though. We have a lot of things to work with. We already have the tower there. We have the hub location kind of picked out. And we have this road. So we can just copy a bunch of the concepts from the front and boop it in, right? Easy peasy. Big tower in the front, towers on the side. We'll break the towers up by adding in all of that little in-between space. And then the road is kind of a nice centerpiece that we can indent into the rest of the build. That looks pretty good. We'll just definitely have to add in some walkways and windows. But again, details later, except for the hub. We need to work on the hub. Because a lot of people were upset, myself included, that I made a to-do list in the last video and then I didn't complete it. But we didn't have anything to work with. Like, I just built a platform out to here and I was like, yeah, it's fine. But now we have the rest of the build around us, so we can actually do something here. So let's get rid of all of this, scoop up the hub, get rid of the billboard, figure out what to actually do. So the reason I built the hub over here is because I like the view of the waterfall and the trucks moving and all of the green space. Like, it looks cool. We're gonna try and keep some of that. Then we just need to center everything with the road down there. I feel it'd look super weird if it was off center. How big is the road? 3 tiles? Oh yeah, always 3 tiles. Mr. Kibbs would never do anything different. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Wait. Why is this in the middle if the road's 3 tiles? It doesn't make any sense. What? How is this centered then? How is there only 6 spaces? What? Oh my gosh. Oh, I was actually freaking out there. It's because this tower here. Oh, okay. So the tower over here indents 1. So now we go from 7 tiles down there to 8. So the center is gonna be 2 tiles at this point. That makes things a lot more tricky. At least with the hub, it is only 2 tiles wide. I'll have to build it like this, I guess. But then we have this problem, being in my feetsies. I don't want to jump to get into the hub. That's ridiculous. So I think we're gonna have to pull the trick we used last time and bring out the pillars, because they have the exceptionally great feature of allowing you to align junctions to like the millimeter. So we can put this like this height. Whoa, yes we can. Build it out here. Okay, and that gives us a nice walkway there. But the main thing is, we'll have a snapping point to add on some stairs. Great, so that looks really good. And then we can walk up here, walk down there, no problem. Now the rest of the hub decorations will be simple, and we just need to make a cool door with some pizzazz. A lot of pizzazz. I think we're sticking with the gold, you know? It's just so extra. But when you have just such basic walls everywhere, it just stands out so much in such a great way. I don't know. It's growing on me. I like it. This doorway turned out pretty cool too. Did the same thing with the gates where we have the beams at the end of them, so it doesn't look like the gates just clip into non-existence. And for the rest of the platform, well, we already kind of figured things out. But I added in a few of these cables here to make it look like there's a bit of a better support. Like we're launching a rocket ship from this platform, and that's a little bit of thrust. So the cables kind of keep the platform up when the rocket ship is launching. And I added in a ton of support underneath to just, again, keep it a little bit realistic. Do I absolutely love the design? No. but we can adjust it a little bit later on. Like having just kibitz here, I don't think so. What else could we add here? Awesome shop? Hey. Wait, how do we not have enough screws? I built this silly little contraption over in our starter base here just to make screws. What is the problem? What is the actual... Oh my gosh. The problem is it doesn't go into the dimensional depot. Oh, Gibbs. The bigger issue is what the heck we're gonna do inside. Because the outside here, practically done. The inside, you may have noticed, has a critical problem where our doorway to our main hub room there doesn't line up with the other door there. It's off by like a couple tiles. But Kibbs, everything's in flux. Why don't you just move all of the stuff you've built here somewhere else and then you can make it line up? It's easy peasy. And you're right, it would be if I didn't have a different plan in mind already. Because remember our to-do list? Well, on the to-do list, we need a hub zone with a MAM. And we have the hub built, but we need an area with the MAM. And my initial plan was just to get rid of that and build the MAM outside here. Like, boom, fits, looks fine, it's serviceable, right? But it's, I don't know. It's such a cool thing to have in our base. Like, there's so much detail. Look at all the numbers, beep booping. There's buttons to press. So here's the deal. We're gonna make this into a workshop area. And by doing so, I am really hoping that we can kind of dodge the whole doorways not aligning thing. But it locks us into two things here. Number one, at the end of the line, this has to be a hallway. So that will lead to a room there. There'll be another room over there, and we just simply have to accept that. As for the rest of the space, well, we have to busy it up enough so the doorway transition issue isn't as super noticeable. And that's where I think the MAM can come in. We can add in an elevated little area here. It can be kind of like a work zone. And then we can add in a few buildings to busy it up. So we could have the equipment workshop, just build a crafting bench, sure. And then of course, the MAM. Way back here. Now when we leave the main room, there's all this equipment and stuff that can distract us a little bit, but we still need more distraction. This doorway issue is kind of bad. What if we, I don't know, what's the most distracting thing in the game? I know actually. The most distracting thing in the game is easily the U jelly pad. We'll keep that there. I don't know how we'll end up using it, but it has to be there no matter what. Can we get like a walkway around it? Kinda, actually very easily. Wow, yeah. That was more so like a desperation move, but it is played out very well. Yeah, I can envision something going on here. Like we're walking back from this direction, we see all that stuff over there. Move over to here to go through the door. And on the right, we'll definitely need a wall somewhere. And what's another super busy thing that we could throw this way? Conveyor belts. We need conveyor belts freaking everywhere. We have a big storage room right there. We're gonna have to bring every item in the game pretty much, or at least that we're storing, over to that place. Which means we're gonna have belts going all out the wazoo. We'll just cover this part in belts and GGEZ. And from that point, it's just spamming up as much stuff as possible to distract again from the terrible fact that the doors don't align. I feel like I did a pretty good job here, yeah? Got our hallways, got a staircase over here now. As many belts as I could bring. Now go through this wall. And then there's just a bunch of just random details to distract. And then one cool thing I did was adding in this hanging light here. So using the wall outlets and clipping, I was able to clip in a power nub into the lights themselves. So now it looks like it's just hanging down there. Kind of try and recreate how it was done. What I did is I just built a platform first, and grabbed the power nubs to build. Then I moved a light into position, deleted the platforms, And just connected the nub to the ceiling, and there you go. Just over here, I spent more than 5 seconds to make sure everything was straight and aligned and in the proper space I wanted it to be in. But mission accomplished, details added, we are good to move on. Move on to what, you might ask? More building? Kind of. We have one more interior thing I want to work out. And then as for the outside of the base, we're gonna leave it for now. We have a lot of refineries to build for the oil setup, so I don't really want to mess around with the other side of the base there. Instead, I want to finish up our to-do list. Finally, can check this off. And then the last thing we have to do is a portal room. Way late in the game, you get teleportation portals. And of course, we're gonna have that in our main base by our storage room. But then where on earth do we build a portal room? I wonder, wherever will we find the room? And you know, fun fact, I actually did not plan on having the portal room right in front here, but because of how just the exterior design worked out, we have this huge amount of space, so sure, it's portal time. The portals are really easy to work with. Like, I messed around with them in creative, and they're about 12 meters tall, and they only take up 1 tile. So we can go crazy with any design we want in here. So really the only thing we have to work around is at the end of the hall, or whatever room we create, I just want there to be a giant window. Which means I can combine together a bunch of concepts we worked with today and put together something awesome. So this combines a lot of the things we've been working on these last 2 videos, like painting everything black, just to add in some contrast. Got the gold in here. I combined the roof concept, or the ceiling concept, from our storage room and kind of transitioned it into this grill on the top and bottom of this room, so it all kind of flows together. And then I have these random walking paths that go over to here, and that's where we're gonna have our portals. I only have 6 slots for portals, but I think that's gonna be more than enough considering how expensive they are to run. And then one thing that almost tripped me up was I wanted to use these catwalks, right? But then for these half foundations with the grip metal design, you can't have the catwalk on top of them, or else they clip together and you can't see the catwalk. So instead, I used the pillar trick to raise the catwalks up by like 1 millimeter or whatever. That way, there's no clipping because these are built over top of the half foundation. And so there you have it. That's our portal room, the end of our to-do list, and also the end of this video, because I have built enough for a long time. And next time, we're getting right back into the automations. So I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, remember to subscribe for more. But until next time, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and bye-bye.